Chapter 7, Quality. I'm sure at some point you've taken courses in quality programs, but I'll make this fairly brief. It is an important part of the supply aspect of supply chain, and we'll spend a few minutes on it. I'm not sure it'll be much new material, if any, but we'll include it. So we want to ensure that we have quality. That makes sense, but what exactly is quality? And we need to either meet or exceed expectations. That's the definition of quality from the American Consumers Association. You need to be better than competitors, at least the same. And of course, if you're lower than competitors with delivery of your product or service, then you may be in deep trouble. Unless you, of course, have very low prices. And some companies don't care about your price. They want a quality. They don't want a lot of waste. So you need to transform as you're from the original raw materials to the final goods. And there are processes to add to the value chain. You need quality for function, suitability, reliability. These are dimensions of products. Things like timeliness are examples of service types of dimensions of quality. Performance, you can see it does the primary function. So if you have a Toyota RAV4, that may be a quality product for getting you around town, but it doesn't do very well on an F-150 racetrack. It's not a quality product. The features are all the bells and whistles. And a lot of times people, when they buy something new, look, I have heated seats, or I have heated windshield wiper blades, or I have air-conditioned seats. They talk about the features. When you get your new phone, it's not like, look, I can make a phone call. It's like, look, I can do FaceTime. Reliability is, of course, when it works. Right now, there's a joke in there about the flames not being reliable. And all products will fail at some point. And sometimes you don't want anything fancy. You want the photocopier to make a photocopy or your printer to print without it jamming. Durability is, again, how long will last. I bought a pair of jeans. They're quality. Why? Because they lasted me for like years. Again, engineers will have conformance. This is within the tolerances. Serviceability, how easy it is to fix. Being able to add or maintain it. Years and years ago, there was a company that had an advertisement on TV where they showed you how easy it was to fix your product. And Japan is actually much further ahead of North America, where the person operating the machine can actually fix it, as opposed to having to call somebody to get the work done. The aesthetics, how does it look? How does it feel? How does it sound? Companies spend a lot of time and effort in the automotive industry. When you go to close the door, what does that sound like? Does it sound tinny, making the car sound like it's cheap? I had a situation one time where somebody very dear to me was very kind. They bought me a really nice watch. It's very beautiful. It was heavy. And they even said they bought it because it was heavy. And all the watches I've ever bought, I get titanium because I want it to be light. I don't want a heavy watch. But they said, oh, it was heavy, so it seemed like it was better quality. It was a very beautiful watch. I still have it to this day. Don't wear it anymore, but I still have it. Perceived quality. You get to name in a lot of companies that have perceived quality. Honda, Toyota, BMW in the automotive industry, Mercedes perhaps. So those are perceived quality. Taguchi loss function. They don't have it labeled here, but this is the Taguchi loss function. And they have an optimal point. Well, in this particular case, yes, and this is based on your target. And the further you are from the target, the more it costs you. So if you submit an assignment and it's on target, you get full marks. But the further it is away from the target, then the lower your mark, which is higher the cost. You can also see that the further you go in to the from the initial development of the product to the final good. So if you find out there's a flaw, like this past week I read that there's an automotive manufacturer that has a recall, that's incredibly high costs. The vehicle's been designed, there's a design flaw, and now they're going to have to do these recalls, which will be free to the consumer. So if I hand out a test and it's got a typo or it's got missing information in it, that's incredibly expensive for the supplier. So the further or the closer you get to the customer, the more expensive it is, which is what I'm leading to here. Prevention costs. When I worked in the healthcare field, it was felt that for every dollar spent on prevention, you save $20 on cure. So you don't have, let me go back a screen. All right. So prevention is the cheapest form. Then doing appraisals. There are some companies that do not do audits because they know that their product has less than 3.4 defects per million, which is considered zero defects, which is Six Sigma. 3.4 defects per million opportunities is Six Sigma. Oh, and by the way, since we're talking about quality, I know that for students, and some of you may be above this level already, that for students, you can get a yellow belt in quality in an online course for like $10, something like that. You can get a green belt for $90. So you are a student. And so if you're, and I know some of you probably may even already be black belts in quality. But if you want something to differentiate yourself at a very low cost, and it's not that time consuming, you can become a yellow belt and or then a green belt. It's to add value to your skill set or expand your skill set and add value to your resume. Internal failure costs are where you find the defect before the customer sees it. And then of course, external things are like lawsuits, warranty claims, recalls, etc. The concept of lean is part of MUDA, no waste, don't overproduce, don't wait. I'm not transportation. I love the logistics instructor say transportation is a waste, but it is necessary. Moving a car from Japan to Calgary doesn't make the car any better, but it's necessary. When Toyota makes their Camry in Kentucky and they ship it to Calgary, it doesn't suddenly become have more features. Oh, look, across the border. Now it has heated seats. No, it's the same car, but it is necessary. Also being careful to do things that don't add value and things like inventory, scrap, even unnecessary motion. So I believe his last name was Ono, came up with a seven waste, which in Japanese is called MUDA. And again, I'm anticipating that some of you may have taken a course in quality. Maybe you took that with Janice Eliason. And if you didn't, she offers a summer course in quality. And that's an MBA level. And she'll be offering it this summer in July of 2021. And the way she does it is it's Wednesday night from 6 to 10, and then all day Friday, but only for 3 weeks. So you can take 3 Fridays off of work. And one of the Fridays is Stampede Friday, although this year there may not be Stampede. But anyways, you can take 3 days off of work and you can finish another MBA course. So value streams, it needs to have value to the customer. Fairly simple concept. You need to get the same results all the time. You need to make it available. And if you consider that courses now, if they're online, are available at different times, it's like Netflix. And we don't have it in this course because we do not have exams. My exams and my other courses are normally all of them this term are open for at least 24 hours. And in fact, U of C has made a determination, if there was an exam, you have to leave it open for at least 24 hours. Does it have the capability to perform when needed? And is it flexible? As you're well aware, you and I have both had to be very flexible as to how we deliver a course, how you students receive the course. And push versus pull systems. The pull system is lean manufacturing and Kanbans. The push system is MRP. The pull system is more make to order. You don't start making the product until the customer orders it. And the push system is you make it ahead of time and in anticipation you will receive an order. The trend has been to more and more pull systems rather than push. And you don't have to have one or the other. You can do partial. Like you can cook your burgers, the patties, before the customer orders it. And then when the customer orders it, you can customize it. And companies that are in the fast food industry are now providing more customized, say, burgers. It used to be when I was your age, the joke was, don't ask for extra pickles on your Big Mac, or don't say I don't want any. It would be way faster to order the Big Mac and take the pickles off. Or it's just say, can you give me some extra pickles? And you put them on yourself. So push system can be faster than pull, but pull is more customized. In fact, to a degree, if you think about what we did in this course, way back on the very first day when I said, how do you want me to teach this course? Originally, I was going to do way more project management. When I agreed to teach this course, oh, good. It's project management and supply chain, no problem. No, it's turned out to be supply and logistics. Very little, if any, on project management. I asked you what you wanted. You told me. And then that's what we're doing. Total quality, focus on the system, not just the individual components. Make sure that they fit together. I believe all of you are very well aware of Kaizen. If you're not, bring it up during class. I mentioned last class Kakushin, which is not on the list, which is Nissan's concept of starting from scratch. And you heard last class last week, which would have been the end of February, my little rant about how badly I think we do post-secondary education from a cost point of view. QFD, which, of course, it just, who was it? Motorola, I believe. Pretty sure it was Motorola. Anyways, the House of Quality. And again, if some of these you're not familiar with, bring them to my attention. I've taught courses in quality, so I'm very familiar with it. And SPC, Statistical Process Control. If you don't know what that is, then bring it up during class and I'll go into it. Otherwise, I'm going to assume all of you know what statistical process control is. It's very powerful, obviously, statistical technique. So QFD helps you to prioritize. And we can even go through an example in class on the house. It's also called the House of Quality. Kaizen, relentless pursuit of improvement, And when Lexus first came out, their slogan was the relentless pursuit of perfection. They've changed their slogan, but that would have been basically Kaizen. The Deming wheel, the plan, do, check, or I've also seen it as plan, do, study, act, as opposed to plan, do, check, act. Pareto analysis, histograms, these are the 7 tools of quality. Check sheets, fish bones, also known as cause and effect diagrams, control charts, which are SPC, run charts, and process flow diagrams. Sorry, yes, fishbone diagrams are not flow charts. Fishbone diagrams are cause and effect diagrams. Okay, so the house of quality can be used for production planning, deployment, process planning, and production planning. Again, so in this particular case, to develop high-performing teams and high-performing products. 6 Sigma, 3.4 defects per million opportunities. So, and I can teach you about SP scores and SPK scores, which has to do with centerness and capabilities. Again, I'm sure we'll have a question about it. In fact, I'll probably ask you in tomorrow's class. This is Wednesday, March 3rd. And so I'll ask you tomorrow night for next week's class about quality, how much you want me to go into it. Statistical process control, assignable and common cause variation. So what is caused by the materials, labor, training, equipment versus what's caused, the variation caused by the process. So I don't know, again, your level, and I'll ask actually tomorrow night, assuming I remember. All right. So you want to make sure that the buyer sets established quality levels. This is an acceptable level of waste or defects. I know that when NASA does it for their space shuttles, when they had space shuttles, they had, it was over 99% of the time that it had to work. And so the supplier determines the process capability, not the buyer. They have to identify whether they can actually meet the buyer's quality standards. And I know that we've had several discussions about this, that it's not just price. You have to make sure you get a quality service. I know that Colby and Z in particular have brought this up, as have several others have brought that up. And then you need to make adjustments if the quality is not there. So here's a statistical control chart. This is on a mean. You also have statistical process control for ranges, number of defects, percentage of defects. Heck, you even have it on standard deviation and all kinds of things. It's a very powerful technique to make sure that you are within the control limits. This fluctuation that you're seeing on the middle of the screen, I'm not sure what color it is because I'm partially colorblind. It's kind of maybe a green. It's the one with the triangles. That fluctuation is caused by the process. You can spend more money on training people, buying better materials, calibrating your machines, it'll have no effect. This is a process fluctuation. Anything above the, I guess, diamonds or below the squares, that's caused by people, equipment, materials. So if this middle line dropped below or above the upper and lower control limits, then you might need to, then you'd have to find out, is it because my people aren't trained properly? Now, service dimensions, and I've mentioned a little bit of this before. Again, responsiveness, reliability, empathy, appearance again. So, going into, say, a lawyer's office, if the rug is ripped and the lights aren't working, or a hotel or something like this, as opposed to you can walk onto a plant floor and you have different levels of expectation. Again, the framework for analyzing is the value of the service, high, medium, and low, Pareto analysis, and ABC analysis, which I'm anticipating you already know what those are. The 80-20 for Pareto, and ABC is simply high priority, medium priority, and low priority. How repetitive is your service? Is you trying to do the same thing, or as close to, like haircuts? Everybody wants a different haircut and has a different head shape and wants to have their haircut perhaps in a different way. Again, the level of tangibility, ability to touch it versus intangible. And again, you are directing your service towards people. You're providing counseling services, etc. And again, you have to analyze the people, the equipment, the skill level. I know when I worked in the area of psychiatry, it was very regimented or restricted. I called it horizontal and vertical stratification. So if you had a bachelor degree in psychology, basically you were what they called a psychometrician. You could administer tests, but you could not interpret it. If you had a master's degree, unless it's now been grandfathered out, people at a master's level in psychology at one time were allowed to give counseling. They no longer are. To give counseling to people, you need a PhD, at least to provide counseling services. Again, is the demand continuous, like a gas pipeline? Is it periodic or discrete? Where is it going to be offered? You can see, obviously, with the pandemic, we've had a tremendous change into the location, but not necessarily the time. How standardized or customized? Again, what skills are required? To teach at U of C, obviously you need a degree. In fact, it would be very rare that somebody with a bachelor degree and they would have probably had to be there for quite a period of time. But at SAFE, for example, there's journeyman carpenters and chefs, journeyman chefs, and Red Seal people for the trades. And the School of Business, a number of years ago at SAIT, determined that to teach, and it was only been the last 7 years or so that we've had a degree at SAIT in business. So we still have a lot of faculty who have bachelor degrees, but you cannot get a job in the School of Business unless you have a master's degree or are willing to take a master's degree, and then you would have a period of time to be able to complete it. And you're not allowed to teach in a degree unless you have a level above. And so even though this is an MBA course, I don't have a PhD. I have 2 master's degrees. And so I am qualified to teach this course. But I would not be allowed to supervise a PhD candidate student. U of C would say, no, you don't have the credentials for that. ISO is a standardization process and a documentation process. Some of the criticisms of it is it doesn't measure whether what you're doing is any good or not. If you say you're going to make a cement life jacket, yes, I said cement life jacket, and you actually do it, you say it's going to weigh so much, it's going to be this size, etc., and you document that, and that's actually what you do, you'll get ISO certification. And then 14,001 talks about environmental aspects. The Deming Prize, named after Edward Deming, is rather interesting. American companies told Mr. Deming to get lost. And after World War II, he then went to Japan, and he said to the Japanese industry that was rebuilding because of the war, he went there and said, "Hi, I have some of my thoughts and ideas on quality." And they said, "Mr. Deming, please sit down. We'd like to hear what you have to say." So I find it really rather ironic that an American went to Japan in the late 1940s after the war ended. And now the award in Japan, it's very prestigious, is award. It's named after an American. The United States, many years ago in the early 80s, I believe, Malcolm Baldrige was, I forget his exact title, was in the Ronald Reagan administration, which would have been from 80 to 88. And they came up with National Quality Award. And I believe in Canada, it's something generic like the Canadian National Quality Award. It's not named after an individual or anything along that line. That would be too creative for us. So that's the end of chapter 6. I hope you found that interesting. If not, I hope I helped you get some sleep. See you in class.